In a world of constant motion and ceaseless distractions, finding a moment of peace can feel like an elusive luxury. The allure of technology, the demands of everyday life, and the perpetual rush often pull us into a whirlwind of chaos, leaving little room for quiet reflection. Where success is often equated with hustle and grind, there exists a longing for something more. Could there be another way? Well, in 1967, the famous author Napoleon Hill answered this very question. He published his final book, Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. He discovered that true success isn't just about accumulation. It's about finding harmony within oneself and with the world around us. One that honors both ambition and inner peace. Rediscover Napoleon Hill's timeless wisdom. Think and Grow Rich with Peace of Mind, an online event that dares to challenge the frenetic rhythm of our modern world. Something is coming.
Hello everyone, welcome to day one of Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. I'm your host Scott Edwards. I'm one of the principal teachers here at the Napoleon Hill Institute. I just want to thank the Cameron brothers for that video. This is every time we do one of these events, there's always an amazing video. And what I love about it is finding time for peace. That is in the video itself. And it's what Napoleon Hill was talking about. Remember, Napoleon Hill wrote this book in 1967. This was just 3 years before he died. It was the last book ever written by Napoleon Hill. Now, he was very, very wise at this point. This is what's interesting, is that he never stopped learning. And it doesn't matter how old we get, even my mentor as well, constantly learning. So this was the last book that he ever wrote. And this whole book is basically just about the lessons that he had learned. Remember, so many people grow rich, but they don't have that peace of mind. So I'm going to go into the slides right now. I want to show you just a few things about this book and a few secrets about this book as well, because at the Napoleon Hill Institute, we're always finding the secrets to all of these books. The main thing about this book is that it can be condensed into one quote. And the quote is, when you are free of fear, you are free to live. I just think this is amazing. When you are free of fear, you are free to live. And that's what the lack of peace of mind comes from. It comes from being in that state of fear. And I was thinking about this today, and I was talking to Cleona on the phone just about this one quote. When you are free of fear, you are free to live. And this other word came to mind when I was thinking of that. The word is affirmation. Affirmation. Now, what is affirmation? Affirmation is when you affirm something. Now, I want to do something very differently that I usually do in these seminars. I want you to start to affirm. I see people come into seminar after seminar after seminar and nothing changes because they're not affirming. Now, do you know that you're affirming right now in your life everything that you don't want? There are people, not everyone, there are people doing that. In your life, you are affirming right now your present situation, things that you don't want, things that you're in fear. And I want you to start using the words I am and start writing this in the comment. I want you to affirm right now that I am free of fear. Doing this right now, doing what I'm doing right now. Just a few years ago, I'd probably be in a state of fear. I am free of fear. That's something that I affirm. And write that in the comments right now. If you want to affirm that, write, I am free of fear. Now, I'm going to be asking you to do a lot of this during the seminar. I'm going to literally be asking you to affirm what you want. And that's what Napoleon Hill was talking about. Once you are free of fear, you are free to live. That's what this is all about. That's what affirmations is. And remember, this is really important to remember. Napoleon Hill didn't make this up. Napoleon Hill this didn't all come from Napoleon Hill's mind. He interviewed the richest man in the world, and he was given all of his secrets. He was literally given all of his secrets. This interaction here with Napoleon Hill and Andrew Carnegie, I love this quote. And there was a quote that Carnegie gave to Hill, and it really sums up what this material is all about. He says, any idea that is held in the mind, that is emphasized, that is either feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. Just think about that, the most convenient and appropriate, feared or revered. And this is what we're talking about when we're free of fear. When we affirm that we are free of fear, that's what's going to get us out from that side and enter into that state of peace of mind. The only thing that's stopping us from having peace of mind is that fear. Peace of mind is something which we are naturally born with. This is a natural state to be in when we have that peace of mind. So just remember, this is where it all began. This whole industry, this multi-billion-dollar industry that we're all a part of, it began with this moment right here in this photo that's being colorized, just so we can enjoy it. It's such a great photo. And it was the two men meeting. Andrew Carnegie had built up this enormous empire of wealth. Andrew Carnegie's net worth, by the way, was measured in GDP. It was actually measured by the gross domestic product of the country of America, because he'd accumulated that much wealth. He thought it was a shame that people like him went to the grave and took all that knowledge with him, and he passed it on to the journalist Napoleon Hill. That's why we're here. We're literally going back. Well, how did I find out about it? I found out about it because my mentor read his book for 61 years. You can see his brother, by the way, I'll go into, most of you know who this is, but his brother Al gave him the book in 1963. It's just over 60 years from when he gave him this particular copy of Think and Grow Rich, 60 years studying it. And I've been in this for 17 years. It's very, very difficult to imagine. When I was 13 years old, this is how I got introduced to this material. It was The Secret. Now, 17 years for me, it feels like yesterday. It's literally gone by so fast. Some of you watching the call, some of you weren't even born 17 years ago. And you think, well, that's a long time. It's not really that long. It's not really that long. It feels like it was yesterday. And when I watched this secret, I was 13 years old. I was in this little northern village in England called Wigan. And someone came on the screen and said that I could have anything I wanted if I do certain things in a certain way. And I really got into this DVD. This is the DVD here. I tell so many people who are feeling off track, go back and watch this DVD. I believe this DVD was kind of made for kids. It's so simple and so basic, and it breaks down this information so well, and it just tells you what to do. And according to The Secret, if you visualize something, if you get emotionally involved with a goal instead of your situation you're in right now, you will literally attract it into your life. Now, 10 years after watching this guy, 10 years, I decided I wanted to go and work with him one-on-one. Now, according to The Secret, all you have to do is put up a picture on your wall. I literally found where his studio was. I found it on Google Street View. And so I just started to visualize, literally, I started to visualize every single day working at Bob Proctor's studio. Now, I had this goal for 18 months. There's a whole presentation I go into about it. But in 18 months, it literally materialized into physical form. And I was with Bob Proctor for 3.5 years. And I just wanted to get as much information as I could out of Bob. He taught me so much, and he took me under his wing and took me everywhere with him. This is me and Bob at his 85th birthday party in Las Vegas, and he flew us all in. I flew in this private jet. We had all the hotels paid for, travel paid for, and it was just an amazing experience. And every time I see this picture, the memories just keep coming back, and the most important thing is I start to feel like I'm back there, and that's what I love about this. But Bob, he literally started putting me on stage. He started flying me all over the world with him in his private jet, and I would work at his studio every single day. And the reason I say every single day is because I used to work on weekends as well. Bob would always be working. You see, Bob's main purpose in life was to get this information to as many people as possible. He just wanted everyone to get it. And when I got it, I had the same goal. It's so amazing when you get this. I look back on my life, like I was talking about 17 years ago, it doesn't seem that long. You feel like such a different person when you go through that transformational experience. You feel like such a different person. And you see, I was talking to Cleona on the phone this morning. We were talking about what separates the people who take this information and literally change their life, and the people who don't. And it's the word sacrifice. I want you to write in the comments, I am willing to sacrifice. And remember, when you're writing this in the comments, when you're affirming, when you're saying it out loud, you're sending a powerful message to your subconscious mind. I am willing to sacrifice. And you see, I was prepared to spend any amount of money. I was prepared to spend any amount of time to learn more about me. Do you know, ascribed over the Ark of Apollo in Greece for the past 2,000 years has been just 2 words. Most people never get this in their entire life. The words are know thyself. Now, if you have a problem with anything in your life right now, it doesn't matter if it's with other people, you might think it's other people, if it's with money, if it's with your health, if it's with relationships, your problem comes from not knowing yourself. That's literally where it comes from. That was the main thing I learned. But the last thing Bob ever said to me was, Scott, you're the only problem you'll ever have, and you're the only solution. I want you to really understand it. Now, these 2 words here is what Napoleon Hill talked about in the entire first chapter of Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. You'll never achieve peace of mind if you don't know yourself. The whole chapter's about that. Those of you who've not read the book, it's absolutely fantastic. That'll be the first thing I want to recommend everyone do. Read the first chapter of Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. Know thyself. And it's just, and don't complicate this stuff, you know? So many people, I see the people struggling because they're complicating it. Keep it simple and you're going to grow. Just focus on literally studying yourself. And what we're doing at the Napoleon Hill Institute, we're not messing around. We are literally going into the deepest stuff from the source of where all this information came from. We've literally got information and documents in the Napoleon Hill archives of messages from Andrew Carnegie, from Thomas Edison, from Edwin C. Barnes. We're compiling and putting together all this information and getting out the true secrets and putting it out into the world. This is the only place. This is the only place where this information is going to come from. John Green redirects everything to the Napoleon Hill Institute. They have the Napoleon Hill Foundation, but he directs everything to the Napoleon Hill Institute because he knows that our coaches all over the world are going to get this information out. It's so, so important that we do. Now, how do we do this? To know thyself, we must find thyself. Think about that. To know yourself, you must find yourself. And we must study ourselves as well. You see, we must study thyself to know thyself. Ellen Nightingale says that if you have a problem with any area at all, whether it be even happiness, he said people have a problem with happiness, go and study happiness. That's how you get to know it. You see, knowledge comes through study. So if you really want to know yourself, study other people. I spend my whole life studying other people. I spend my whole life doing that. I find that the more I study you, the more I understand me better. And for 17 years, I've never been able to get enough of it. I've literally never been able to get enough of this. And remember, the number one habit that you can develop, with anything when it comes to anything, is understanding that studying every day is that number one habit. Our main program, our entry-level program at the Napoleon Hill Institute, is literally getting you into the habit of studying every day. It's called Study and Grow Rich. You don't grow rich by accident, you grow rich by studying. And literally, it's not even about the program, it's about you developing the habit of studying. Once you develop it as a habit, you can't get away from it anymore. I literally can't stop studying this stuff. After doing the same thing for 17 years, you kind of get into the habit of doing it. And it's the number one habit to develop, studying. What's the worst habit to develop is not studying, assuming that you know everything. We know people like this and they're going backwards. So remember that. If you get one lesson from this whole seminar, it's studying every day is the number one habit to form. And there's so much of this information. There's so much information when it comes to Napoleon Hill stuff. Now, remember, it's the repetition of the information that's going to make the lasting change. It's the repetition of the information. You see, like you were taught how to tie your shoes, but you weren't taught just once how to tie your shoes. You had to be taught how to tie your shoes over and over and over again. And that's why it's so, so important. So many of you come to these seminars, you learn something, and then you go away and do the same thing. Well, if you've got a child and you teach your child just once, just tie your shoes once, just see what happens. Is the child going to remember how to tie the shoes? Repetition is how you get into the subconscious mind. Now, remember, if you can remember when you were trying to tie your own shoes, how difficult and complicated it was, how many steps you had to remember. Once it's in the subconscious mind, you can have a conversation with someone next to you and tie your shoes. You can have a conversation with someone and drive the car. All of these habits that we have fixed in our subconscious mind have to be put in through repetition. We're dealing with the subconscious mind, which we're going to go into now. It's the repetition of the information that's going to make the difference. Now, what did Napoleon Hill say in chapter 1? Know thyself, said the ancient Greek philosophers, and this remains key advice for the man who would be in all ways wealthy. Without knowing yourself and being yourself, think about that, being yourself, you cannot truly use the one great secret which gives you power to mold your future and make life carry you the way you want it to go. Just think about that. The number one word here is being yourself. We see so many people trying to be somebody else. Why? Because they don't know themselves. Now, if you don't know yourself, you have a very, very high probability of trying to be somebody else. You're probably acting like somebody who you know better, maybe one of your friends, maybe one of your relatives. This is why your environment is so important. It's literally about being yourself. So start to play with these ideas as we go through. Write in the comments. This is another affirmation that I want you to do right now. Write in the comments, I am so grateful that I can now be myself. If you give yourself permission to be yourself through affirming it, through saying it out loud, you'll start to discover who you are. You'll start to discover, oh, wait a minute, I like to do this. I like to do that. I really loved cameras when I was a kid. I loved video cameras and everything else. I was in business school for years until I figured out, oh, wait a minute, I like, playing around with cameras. Maybe I should go into media. It took me a while, So this is something, as you start giving yourself permission, say, I give myself permission right now. Say it out loud. Write it down. Write it in the comments. I give myself permission to be myself. You will start activating new brain cells. You'll start to become more freer. And this is something I remember I sat down with Bob one time and I brought these books. These books are really important to me. These are the original books that I sat down with Bob Proctor. And I'd ask him question after question after question over and over again. And he said this to me, and I wrote it down. And I put it in the PowerPoints for you. We are triune beings. And I was like, what does that mean? Triune beings. He said, we operate simultaneously on 3 planes of understanding. He said to me, Scott, he said, you operate simultaneously on 3 planes of understanding. And I said, yes, I know that. And he said, you don't know that at all. He says, if you knew that you operated simultaneously on 3 planes of understanding, you wouldn't be asking me all the questions you've been asking me. And then I started to think, you see. This is what we can do here. There's so many slides I'm going to show you, and we show at the Napoleon Hill Institute, and you say, well, I know it. Well, if you knew it, why aren't you doing it? Some people say they believe in the law of attraction, and they're not doing it. That's because they don't believe in it. If the integration of your beliefs with your behavior is not there, you don't really believe it. Do you know that you operate simultaneously on 3 planes of understanding? We are triune beings. I'm going to explain what all this is about. Remember, we operate on levels of vibration. The lowest form of vibration is what's called our experiences. What we experience in the outside world, what our eyes see. Right now, I can see a camera. This is in my physical world. We are experiencing the physical. Now, just because we experience the physical and it's in our face, a lot of people believe that that's it. That's what life is. It's just physical. We're just physical. We're just a thing in the world of things. Well, when you get into quantum physics and you get into how different levels of vibration work, you start to understand that we can't. There is no such thing as things because there's no line of demarcation between one level of vibration and another. So how can we be a thing in the world of things? We are one with every frequency because everything is connected. So there's 3 planes of understanding, and we're physical beings walking around. What are the other 2 planes of understanding? It's really interesting. Well, you see, we've got an intellectual plane. We operate physically and intellectually. A lot of people are focused on the intellect. If you go into most professions, they will be very intellectual. On the top of the profession in every area, whether it be doctors or engineers or lawyers, these will be people who use their intellect. These will be intellectual people. You see, when you get involved with the intellect is something you can't really see. If you could, they would give it to everyone in school. Everyone would be as intellectual as everyone else. But an intellect is basically exercising your faculties, which is what another thing that we're going to go into. So think about that. We're physical beings. Okay, we're experiencing. Like we live in a body, for example, but we have an intellect. An intellect is something that we possess. This is where our thoughts come from. Like when Napoleon Hill talks about think and grow rich, he's telling you to use your intellect. An intellect isn't something that you are, it's something that you have. I'll give you another example of that. You are not your thoughts. Thoughts are something that you have. When you have a thought or an idea about something, or maybe you think you can't do some of the things you want to do, that's not who you are. That's something that you have. Um, it's a possession of yours. When you have an intellect, it's a possession of yours. Remember, you're living in a physical body. That's one plane, but you have an intellect. That's something that you have. Well, if this is things that we're living in and things that we have, who are we? When we talk about knowing thyself, what's the highest level of vibration? And it's the spiritual side of us. This is what we really, really got to grasp. This is something that we definitely can't see. At least we can kind of see the intellect slightly. We can definitely see the physical. But as we're raising onto a higher frequency, we start to get into things that we can't see. And that's what's really interesting about this. You see, we are spirit, we have an intellect, and we live in a physical body. It's not the other way around. A lot of people think that they are a physical body. A lot of people think that they are their thoughts. We are a spirit. We have an intellect. That's something that we can control. We can control our physical world by our intellectual world. We can control our intellect through our spiritual nature as well. So when Bob said to me, "You are a triune being," this is what he meant. No, I didn't know this. I didn't know. I've heard these words before, but I didn't know how they connected. I didn't know that they were different levels of frequencies. Um, and we have to operate from the higher to the lower potential. What do losers do? What do people who are losing do? They look at the physical world. This is a trait that we all have. We look at our physical world and let it dictate to our intellect what's going on. And it should be the intellect dictating to the physical world what should be going on, and it should be the spiritual side of us dictating to our intellect. The spiritual side to our nature, by the way, is what we really want to do. There's a spiritual side of your personality that really wants something, and it's communicating with the intellect and saying, okay, I want this, and the intellect is fighting back. Think about that. This is what's happening right now. The intellect is fighting back and dictating to the spiritual side of your personality, which wants to grow, which wants to express, and saying, you can't do this. You can't be a coach in the Napoleon Hill Institute. You can't teach other people. Your intellect is dictating this back to the spiritual side of your personality. It's very, very interesting. And what we want to do is just switch it around. We just start doing the opposite of what we're doing. I never let the physical control anything I'm doing. In fact, I ignore the physical. So someone said to me that the other day, text me, "Oh, I saw you out the other day, but you didn't say hello to me." I said, "I didn't see you." I'm very, very I'm ignoring the physical world most of the time. When you get so emotionally involved with a goal and a purpose you want, that's all you're thinking about all the time. That's the only thing you'll allow yourself to think about because it's so good. We have huge plans for the Napoleon Hill Institute. We've only just started. We've only been doing this for a year. Our plans, we're so involved with our plans. We don't care about what's going on in the world. It doesn't matter who the next president is or who the next prime minister is. We are so focused on building our own world. We're not focused on this on the physical side. We're focused up here on the higher planes of existence. And what's the best way of remembering this? I want everyone to write this down if this is the first time you've heard it. Remember, we are spirit, we have an intellect, and we experience the physical. Now, that's the reason you want your goal. Now, you can enjoy your goal on a spiritual or an intellectual level, but you want to experience it. This is where enjoyment comes from. You see, we experience everything on the physical level. This is where we play with things. And another reason is we should never let the physical ever dominate any of these other two areas. And that's the reason why when you understand it, you won't do it anymore. You just got to get into the habit of not doing it and understanding that the spiritual side is the highest form. It's what dictates the physical. It's the highest form of vibration. Now, human beings are one with all three of these. This is what a human being is. Someone who can operate on all three planes of understanding. What did Bob say to me? He said, Scott, said you operate simultaneously on three planes of understanding. Now, these aren't separate things. That's why we had the lines then connecting the frequencies. Every frequency is connected to the one above and the one below. So the spirit is connected to the intellect. The intellect is connected to the physical. This is how the law of attraction works. This is literally getting into it now. Now, the best diagram you can ever use is something that you've probably seen before. It's absolute genius when it comes to explaining these three sides of our personality. This is the stick diagram. And if you really understand this, when you talk about knowing thyself, if you really understand this diagram, every situation that happens in your life, you're going to attribute it to this. Whenever something negative if it ever does happen to me, instead of experiencing it, I start explaining it. I say, oh, this is happening right now, and I'm starting to feel this way. And then I change it like that. 17 years of studying this stuff, you can't help but start to use it. But what I want to do instead of having this whole stick person, some of you have never seen it before. If you've never seen this before, this is going to blow your mind. Like if I want you, instead of seeing it as a whole stick person, I want you to break it up into. We're going to break this up now into three parts. Okay. So I want the top part here, the top part of the mind, to represent the conscious mind. So this first half at the top, this represents the conscious mind. The bottom half represents the subconscious mind, and the body is the body. Now, think about those three planes of understanding that we're living on. Okay, I want you to guess which planes connect to which part of the mind, which is the intellectual part of us. It's the conscious mind. Which the physical part of us is the body. Now, the spiritual part of us, the part that's connected to infinite intelligence, is the subconscious mind. When people say that they're very spiritual, they say they're very emotional, they are people who have access to the subconscious mind more than others. I can literally feel if someone is either left brain or right brain by their energy. because someone with right brain energy has such stronger energy when it comes to connecting to the subconscious mind. And this is where our spiritual side is. It's in the subconscious mind. Our intellect is like the commander, which can literally command our body to do what it wants to do what you want it to do, if you understand how to use it. And that's what we're going to go into now. I'm going to talk more about the conscious mind, things that you've probably never quite thought of before. We're going to go into the conscious mind. Now, this part of you has the ability to disagree. Um, you can disagree with absolutely everything I'm saying. You can say, "Oh, I don't agree with this or that." That's not how the mind works. I didn't say that's how the mind worked. I said this is a great representation of how you can understand how your mind works. Um, Nobody knows how the mind works. Nobody knows how the law of attraction works. Earl Nightingale said that you can do anything you want with this material except explain it. You can't explain it. And if you could explain it, if you could reduce it to dogma, it wouldn't be magical anymore. It wouldn't be special. You see? But what this is doing right now, it is giving us an understanding of how our mind works. The conscious mind has the ability to disagree. What's the conscious mind? The intellectual mind. What do intellectual people do a lot? If you're very intellectual, you will be inclined to disagree with a lot of what you're being taught. Intellectual people do that. They argue, they actually learn through disagreement. And the conscious mind, if you've really exercised the conscious mind and the intellectual faculties, you're going to disagree with so much. But just remember that it's not about agreeing or disagreeing, it's about understanding how the mind works. So remember, you have the ability to disagree. You have an ability to disagree with your present environment right now. You can disagree with the way your life is going. I do that all the time. I just say, I don't like it like this and I'm going to change it. It's as simple as that. It's the ability to disagree with it. Now, you're not going to disagree with it unless you believe that you can do better. And belief comes from your evaluation of something. So if you reevaluate yourself or reevaluate your potential and ability, you're going to start to believe in yourself more. You're going to start to believe in yourself when you start to reevaluate yourself properly. But just remember that anything that goes on, you have the ability to disagree with it, and you have the ability to agree with it. It's your choice. That is your choice. When by exercising your intellect, you have that control. You have that ability to do that. Now, this is another part of the intellectual mind. It has the ability to switch off. Most people these days, and that's what the Cameron brothers put in the video, they don't have the ability to switch off. And this is what we can literally do. Unless we switch off and put our mind at rest, we're not going to get to sleep, for example. Think about that. Some of you are struggling sleeping. It's because you're not giving yourself permission to switch off. If you really want to start changing this, write in the comments, start affirming, I can and I will. I can switch off whenever I choose. Start affirming that to yourself. Start writing it out. Start saying it. Start shouting it in the mirror. That's another exercise that we learned at the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Literally start shouting these things. Drive it into your subconscious mind. Is that you have the ability to switch off. You have that ability. You can switch off your conscious mind completely and go into a state of repose or relaxation. And most people who are relaxed, they've switched off the intellect. I can do it very easily. I can just, it was Benedict Cumberbatch who said that you should give yourself permission to be stupid. You should give yourself permission just to switch off and just relax. Now, that is a conscious decision that you make. The ability just to switch off. I'm just gonna leave this where it is, switch off and go to sleep. Those of you, I was talking to a lady who's in our company. She told me that she was waking up very early, early in the night with anxiety. And I said, that's because you're not switched off. And that's because you've probably not been taught how to do that. You see, as you start studying this information that we have, You literally just start to learn how to do these little things. Before you know it, your whole life has changed. Literally knowing yourself. You see, if you know yourself, you're going to know how to do that. Simple as that. Now, remember, we have 5 external senses. Going back to when we're asleep, our conscious mind is completely closed off. Anything can get into our subconscious mind because our conscious mind is closed off. We're going to get into that in a little while. Your external senses are the only things that can wake up your conscious mind. Think about that. You have external senses. You have hear, see, smell, taste, and touch, all connected to your conscious mind. Now, if you disturb any of these senses, you're going to wake up. It's going to reactivate the conscious mind again. Anyone who lives in a noisy environment, you're going to have some sense of sleep deprivation, even on a small level, because if you're not in an environment where your external senses can be closed off, your conscious mind is always going to be kind of turned on, and it uses a lot of energy. Henry Ford said that thinking is the hardest work there is. And that's the reason why so few people engage in it. It takes up so much energy to keep this conscious mind alive and to keep it really switched on. If you're experiencing fatigue or tiredness, the first thing that goes is the intellect. The first thing that goes is the imagination. The first thing that goes is the willpower. These are part of our intellect which get really run down if you don't have enough rest. So just remember that. If you're having trouble sleeping, cut off these 5 external senses: hear, see, smell, taste, and touch. If any of these are disturbed, it'll reactivate the conscious mind and you'll wake back up again. Think about that. And just these external senses, we've got to learn the fact that all these are doing is picking up the physical outside world. We should start to emotionalize what we see in our mind instead of what we see with our eyes. Let's start emotionalizing what we see with our mind instead of what we see with our eyes. That's a really good hack for anyone who's getting into this at the start. And we have 6 mental muscles in here. Now, Cleona is going to talk about the 6 faculties of the mind, because this is where the power is. This is where the power lies. You see, you can take a spiritual idea from the subconscious or from the universe, kind of the same thing, and then you can literally shape it into an idea that you choose using 6 mental muscles. The more you exercise these mental muscles, the stronger they become. It's as simple as that. Well, kids are naturally born with a very good imagination, and it's something that we get taught to not use as we grow up. And what we've got to understand is that these are muscles. These are things that can just be trained over and over again and become stronger through training them. And we literally have exercises here at NHI where you can strengthen these mental muscles. I did a whole seminar just about these 6 mental muscles, and so many people are seeing results just by exercising one mental faculty. If you just focused on one mental faculty for the whole of 2024, that will completely change your life. It's a lot more important than exercising physical muscles, which is what most people are into. It's very, very interesting. So what we're going to go into now is something that most people will never, ever understand if they don't study this information. It costs them millions of dollars because they just literally have never studied this information. Most of them don't know how to access the information. Napoleon Hill says that it pays to know where to buy knowledge. It pays to know where to buy knowledge. And this is the most interesting subject you can get into. It's got no faculties. Our subconscious mind regulates. It has absolutely no faculties at all when it comes to the subconscious mind. And this records every moment that we experience, every defeat, every success, every setback that we have is recorded by the subconscious mind. Every memory, everything that you think you've forgotten is stored inside that subconscious mind. Everything is in there. And this works 24/7. This is what's so interesting about the subconscious mind, is that this doesn't switch off. This is why you have dreams at night, because your subconscious mind is literally going. And just as you're going into that alpha state, as you're coming in and out of those dreams, it's very, very, very it's a very good time to start to program new concepts into your subconscious mind, because your conscious mind starts to close off. It works 24/7. Now, it only communicates in feelings. We know when something's in the subconscious mind because we will feel a certain way. If you have an idea in your subconscious mind that you can't do what you want to do, it's in the form of a feeling. If you think you can't do it for some reason, that's your intellect. But when you feel like you can't do it, when you feel nervous or start to feel like it's wrong, that's your subconscious mind communicating with you. It communicates through feelings. There are certain allergies that people have in the body. Now, remember, the body is a dumb terminal. Your body will only do what the mind tells it to do. My body right now is acting because my mind is telling my body to act that way. So if you have an allergy in your body, you know that that's a problem in the subconscious mind that's expressing itself. That's why dermatologists don't actually cure the problem. They just say, try this, come on back for some more, because the problem is in the subconscious mind. There's people who go to therapy, or they have hypnotherapy, and they have all sorts of physical alterations with the body. Things start to get healed up, pain starts to go away, because that problem in the subconscious mind has been taken care of. That's what's going on there, you see? So it communicates in feelings. If you start to feel a certain way, remember, it's coming from your subconscious mind. It's very, very important that you understand that. So the body, this is something a lot of people don't talk about. And I want to talk about one word in particular. It's called manifest, okay? Our body is literally a manifest. Now, manifest, the definition of it is something that is clear or obvious to the eye or mind, to show something by one's act or appearance, or to demonstrate. That's the definition of the word manifest. When someone says that they've manifested something, the only thing you manifest is your own body. Now, your body in a certain vibration will attract from the universe whatever's in harmony with it. That's why so many people call it manifest, you see. Now, it's also, when you think about this, like a manifest of cargo. It's manifested. Where's it manifested from? It's manifested from the subconscious mind. Whatever's in the mind gets expressed through the body. That's why we call it manifest. Just to go off slightly here, James Allen, who's Napoleon Hill's mentor, said that we think in secret. You see? We think in secret and it comes to pass. Well, it comes to pass through the body. You see, like the definition of manifest, something that is clear and obvious. Your body right now is clear and obvious, not just to you, but to everyone else. It tells everyone how you've been treating it. It tells everyone what you've been thinking. It tells everyone what you've been feeling. It tells everyone how you've been treating it. Your own body is a manifestation of your thoughts. We become what we think about, said Earl Nightingale. Just think about that. So when you think of the body, think think about what you've manifested. Literally, I can read people's energy because I can read the body. It's literally the instrument. And our instrument is a tool or implement, especially one for precision work. Think about that. So our body is being used in the physical world to do physical things, to act. We're using it to act. And it is just an instrument. That's all it is. And we can change the instrument through changing our thoughts, through changing our vibration. We will manifest a different body simply by choosing different thoughts. We will act differently by choosing different thoughts. It's as simple as that. Now, Leland Val Vanderwall said that there's a transcript. It's literally a transcript of the mind. That's literally what the body is. We literally become what we think about. And it just goes back to knowing yourself. This is what it all goes back to. And has me and Cleona here at the Napoleon Hill archives, we literally just focus on understanding ourselves. This is what this is. If you go back and rewatch the replay and really research these areas that we're talking about here, about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the body, you'll start to get to know yourself. This is what this is all about. Once you know yourself, then you start to take control of your own life. And so we're on the 45-minute mark here now. I want to ask Jeff to play us a video, and we're going to bring Cleona on. She's going to go deeper into the faculties of the mind. So let's go to that video, Jeff.
Picture faith as an invisible bridge suspended over the abyss of uncertainty. It's the bridge that connects our aspirations to reality, allowing us to traverse the chasm of doubt and fear. Faith is an intangible force that resides deep within the human spirit. The unwavering belief in something greater than ourselves. It's the profound trust in the unseen, the conviction that there is meaning and purpose beyond what the eye can perceive. Faith is not blind. It is the conviction born of experience and understanding. It's a harmony between the rational mind and the deeper realms of intuition, a harmony that enables us to move forward with confidence even when the road ahead is uncertain. It's the unwavering candle in the darkest of nights, casting a gentle glow on our path when all else seems obscured. It's the beacon that beckons us forward when we navigate life's stormy seas. In essence, faith is the melody of our hearts, a wellspring of inner strength that enables us to embrace life's mysteries with open arms, to dance with the unknown, and to find beauty within the journey itself.
Well, hello, everyone. It looks like I'm Scott Edwards. Let's change that around. I think we can do that. I was you for a moment. Know thyself. I didn't know myself for a moment. Oh my God, Scott, this is so incredible what you've been teaching so far. I don't know if you got a chance to see all the chat and the comments, but the comments are coming in fast and people are starting to really know themselves and understand the mind. And I'm Cleona Ohara. For those that don't know me yet, I'm so grateful to be here. Scott, that was incredible.
Well, what's amazing, Cleona, I only got through 25% of the presentation, so there's so much more to go. You know, we need to do these events more, and
Yes.
I love the energy of everyone. I've just reading a few of the comments, and this is how we know we found our place, because what we're in harmony. We've all got the same goal. And everyone who I've ever met in this industry, not only do they want this to help themselves, they're always thinking about other people. These people, everyone that we've attracted to the Napoleon Hill Institute, Cleona, they're so focused on helping other people. It's very rare these days. You see, if you're in a positive vibration, you're going to focus on wanting to help other people. That you know you're going into a negative vibration when you stop caring about other people. And if I'm ever in that state, Cleona, and I know we've talked about this, when we ever get to a position where we stop caring about other people, we need to stop and say, okay, it's time to adjust. You know,
Yeah.
but I love the people here. I love everything being in harmony, and I never take credit for it, Cleona. I can't take credit for it
Yeah.
because someone many years ago was patient enough to sit down with me and teach me it, and that's just the way I see it.
It's incredible. Yeah. So I met Scott, obviously, for those that are new here. I met Scott when we both worked for Bob Proctor. And, you know, Scott is very humble. He literally sat next to Bob Proctor for 3.5 years. And all of this information was going into your subconscious mind. And now we have, the great privilege of learning from you. I love when you teach. I love when you do your classes at the Institute every week. And I'm always taking note because I'm learning so much more from you. It's like having our mini Bob, I always say, right? It's so good. But you're right, Scott. The minute we start to think it's us and we keep our eye off the mission, and you're going to see a little bit of my story for those that are new, that's the minute we're going to have a good, firm conversation with ourselves, because we know why we're here. We know what we're doing, and we have a complete mission. The Napoleon Hill Institute was created in the 50s by Napoleon Hill and W. Clement Stone. And they went on to work together for about 10 years. They called it Napoleon Hill Institute and Napoleon Hill Academy at the time. And so we have the great honor and privilege of bringing it back 1 year ago, just over 1 year ago. And I want to show you guys something, actually. I'm going to show you what me and Scott did. Was last January. Is that right?
Have you got it there? Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're going to bring up.
So Napoleon Hill Institute version 2.0 is in my hands. So it's in here, and we mapped out the company just over a year ago by following the principles that you're going to learn from Napoleon Hill and from us, okay? So this is what we did. We literally mapped out with a pen and paper this company. And I'm telling you right now, everything that's on here that we mapped out has come to form. But one little thing, actually, there's one thing that hasn't happened yet. But 95% has happened, Scott.
But what's amazing, Cleona, when we wrote that out, because we literally we went out walking around New York City together. We went to Staples, we bought the pad, and then we looked up at this building and said, "Let's go to the top of that building." It was one of the highest buildings in New York, floor 101.
Yeah.
And we sat there writing this out, and we had no idea how it was going to happen. That's what's amazing about it. Now, if we started to think about how this is going to happen, we would never have done it.
That's right. That's right. So pay attention to what Scott just said. So the how and the when is actually none of our business in the beginning. When you learn how this all works, the how and the when is none of our business. Okay. So important. If we had have got stuck on the how, we would have moved into fear. We wouldn't have been operating from faith. Okay. So we didn't focus, just like Scott was teaching us today, we didn't focus on what was on our outside circumstances, all the obstacles that were against us, which there were so many. I mean, we literally could write a book one day about this and how we started this company and what went on, the shenanigans. But we didn't. We just kept focused on the vision and the mission. We kept focused. And that's something I'm really, really good at. So, Scott, I want to thank you. You're going to come back and see us this week?
100%, 100% Cleona, yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, my friend. I'm so grateful.
Thanks so much, Cleona. And I'm really looking forward to your next lesson. I'm going to take some notes on this myself.
Okay. All right.
Thanks so much, Cleona.
Thank you, Scott. Everyone, watch the replays. What Scott gave you today was pure gold. Pure gold. All right. So I'm going to share a few thoughts with you today as well. And just like I said, watch the replays. Everything is about repetition. Repetition. How are you all feeling out there? Put it in the chat. I love to read all the comments. And just like Scott was teaching us, remember, feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. What is vibration? Vibrational frequency. How you're feeling is your vibrational frequency. It's what you're going to attract into your life, and it comes from your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is the emotional mind, okay? So Napoleon Hill says in his incredible book, Grow Rich with Peace of Mind, he says, adversity, it's a tonic, not a stumbling block. Every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Now, I have lived this. I have lived this. I have evidence, and I'm going to share some of my story with you today, because what I've been through and what I've come through is exactly what Napoleon Hill has taught us. Every adversity in my life carried with it the seed of equal, I will say, even greater benefit. I have turned so much adversity around in my life. And so I'm going to take you back in time and show you a little bit about me and how did I even end up becoming the CEO of the Napoleon Hill Institute. Okay. And so it starts back in Northern Ireland, where I was born. I was born in a little city called Derry City in the north of Ireland. Some of you may have seen the show on Netflix called Derry Girls. And it's like someone followed me around with a camera. Me and my friends, we were up to no good. And so if you ever get a chance to check it out on Netflix. So I was born in Northern Ireland in a little city called Derry. I've been living in the United States for about 24 years now. And so growing up in Ireland, I didn't come from a wealthy family. I came from poverty. You would call it poverty, in today's circumstances. I would consider myself growing up in complete poverty. And as you can see, this is me here on the left. Yes, I colored my hair. And as you can see, if you look closely, everybody had a school uniform except for me and the two little guys next to me, really. We couldn't afford the school uniform. And so you'll also notice I was wearing pants that weren't mine. They came from the neighbors and they were too big for me. So I would roll them up. We would roll them up. And so I remember as a child, feeling different. I remember feeling not worthy. I had no confidence. And, I grew up with my grandmother. Her name was Peggy. I call her Queen Peggy. She has passed on now. My grandmother raised me and my two sisters, and she did the best she could. She was a queen. She was a queen. She had to actually clean toilets for a living. My grandmother, Queen Peggy. And I thank Peggy. I know she's watching me right now. She's my angel. She did the best she could. Okay. My mom had moved to America. My dad disappeared out of my life at the time. And so this is how we lived. We had one small bedroom in this it's called a council house in Derry. And we had nothing. We had let me not say that. We had very little. We had very little. And, growing up, we had no table. I had no table to do my homework. There was no real kitchen area. And we all lived in this little bungalow, me, my sisters, and my grandmother, and we shared a room. And we had a big dog, and the dog was called Lucky. I always talk about the dog Lucky because Lucky was really dirty. And and so I still think about Lucky. I used to get really mad at Lucky. But this was our humble upbringing, but we didn't know any better. This was just the way it was. And so I remember thinking to myself as a little girl, and I saw all the other kids going to school and they had uniforms. They had a mom and a dad. And it was heartbreaking for me. I used to cry a lot as a little girl. I used to be sad a lot as a little girl. But what I was really good at was dreaming. I was really good at dreaming. And so I would find myself in my closet, and I would climb up to the top of the closet and shimmy my way up to the top shelf, tiny little closet, and I would draw pictures on the wall. I would draw pictures, and I would just dream. And I remember my grandmother used to get mad at me in the morning to go to school. Cleona, stop dreaming. Wake up. We're going to be late for school. Stop dreaming. And I was always called the dreamer. And so I would sit up in my shelf, in my closet, and I had a dream of moving to America one day. That was my dream. And I would draw pictures because I would watch these movies and see all these amazing American families with the white picket fence and the dog and the perfect house. And it used to just really inspire me. I wanted that life. I wanted that life. And so it still till today brings me emotion because of where I've come from and where I am today. And I'll tell you right now, I'm so grateful. I'm so, so grateful. So I made a decision to move to the United States of America at the age of 18. And I applied for my green card. I followed all the rules, filled out all the paperwork. I followed my mom who had moved to New York, and I wanted to reunite with her. I had this fantasy in my mind. It was going to be perfect. I'm going to move to New York. Everything's going to be incredible. And that's not what happened. For 10 years, actually, it was more than 10 years. If I add it all up, all of my applications were getting denied. My green card was being denied. Denied, denied, denied. You're missing a piece of paper. You missed your medical records, even though I had sent them in. The next application was denied. They said they didn't receive it. And back then it wasn't the internet. It was all paper. And so for years, I kept my American dream, even though I was living in the country, kept being denied. And so it was adversity after adversity. And as you know, if you don't have a green card in America, you're very limited. You can't just go get a job like everybody else. You're stuck. It's almost like purgatory. One day I have a mission. I will work in immigration somewhere down the line to help improve this process, I'm sure, in the future. But I was waiting in purgatory. I didn't have any rights. And it was painful. And I wanted to give up. I wanted to quit. I got into a very abusive relationship because I had no choices. And the first guy that really, took interest in me, I ended up in a bad relationship. And it went on and off for 7 years. And I thought my American dream was over. I wanted to give up. I wanted to quit. And I wanted to go back to Ireland. But there was something inside of me. There was that inner other self, my soul, that was telling me, don't quit, Cleona. And I remember falling on my knees at the age of 26 or 27, and I was broken. I was broke. I had just left that abusive relationship literally months before. I had no money. I was sitting in my apartment in Brooklyn, New York. I had no money for rent. I had nothing. I was actually getting food from local offices. I had nothing. And I remember getting on my knees and I said, God, tell me what to do. And that was the first time that I really went inwards since I moved to America. I went back. I used to do it as a kid. I remember doing it as a kid. But it was the first time because I was lost in the big city. I said, God, tell me what to do. And I heard very clearly within myself, go serve, Cleona. Go serve. And even saying it now, it still grabs me emotionally because it was so clear as day, that I had to go serve. I had to stop thinking about myself. I had to stop being the victim of circumstances, just like Scott taught us today. I had to stop waving this victim flag, poor me, I'm an immigrant, this and that. And I decided to listen to that inner voice and go serve. And I started saying, well, how am I going to serve? After I had those words come through me, that night, I was invited out for dinner in New York City with friends. I had no money. I got dressed up. I said, I'm going to go out because no one's going to know what's really going on with me. And outside the bathroom in the restaurant, I kid you not, this is what was there. It was the secret. And you heard Scott talk about it today. We have this in common. I found the DVD disc, The Secret, which was also that movie and that book comes from Think and Grow Rich. Okay. I found it. It said The Secret. I took it home to my little apartment in Brooklyn, New York, and I watched it over and over and over. I had been drifting for years. I had no education. I barely finished high school, but I had found the secret. I had found the secret. I became obsessed. From that moment on, I said, why did they not teach us this in school? And as you know, in the book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, there's a secret to be found in that book. I had found the secret. No education, no money, but I knew, wow, our thoughts become things? Why did no one teach me this? That our thoughts have power? And so I went on this mission. I was obsessed. And I became, from dreamer, I decided to become a doer. I got out of my victimhood. I got myself, just like the book Think and Grow Rich teaches us, I had a burning desire to get my green card, turn my life around, and I wasn't going to accept anything less. I started, my immigration kept being denied. I had a burning desire, which is some of the principles that Napoleon teaches us, and I had persistence because I'm a stubborn Irish woman. And a shout out to all my Irish women and Irish men, because I was not going to give up. I was not going back to Ireland. I was not going to fail. And so it created this burning desire in me to change my life and to go serve. I started researching, and I hope one day Alejandro Mayorkas, he was the director of immigration. I hope one day to meet you again, my friend. I started researching. I started using my imagination. Then how can I get this green card? They keep telling me no. I found out he was the director. Then I started stalking him a little bit. I apologize. And where is he? Where's he going to be? I started sending him letters, mail. He wouldn't respond. And then I found out one day he's going to be in Portland, Oregon. He's going to be opening a new center in Portland, Oregon. I flew there. I went with my friend and I shook his hand, and I had played it in my mind time and time again. I shook his hand. I said, Mr. Mayorkas, please help me get my green card. And I told him my story. He looked me dead in the eye, and he called over the director of that center and he said, get her green card. I had to meet with them. I had to bring some paperwork. Within 6 weeks, I had my green card because I followed these principles. I know now what I did. I know now what I did. After I got my green card, I started a little business because remember, God told me, go serve. God said, go serve. So I thought God was telling me literally, open a customer service business. I thought that was the message. So I opened a customer service center. This was my actual little company that I opened. They were my first employees. We had like these little desks and computers. I remember even painting those walls with them, the purple paint. We did whatever we could do. I started earning some money. I bought another desk. I bought another computer, another chair, and I was doing all this work and I was creating this little business, but I was studying every day. I was studying this material every day. And even these desks, I laugh now when I look at it because they used to fall apart. We bought them on Craigslist and we had to hammer them back together. But we did it. We did it. We took donations of computers and phones and we built it and we built it and we built the company. And then we upgraded to this huge office. We had 10 employees. We had 15, 20, 30, 35, 45 employees. And I grew this company all because of this material. I wouldn't give up. I knew with every adversity would come the seed of equal or greater benefit. I kept my mind on my vision. I kept my mind on my purpose. I kept my mind focused on what God told me go serve. And that's what I did. And then I remember I sold everything. I made my first $1 million. And that's when I decided. I had got married. My marriage, I had a little baby. It didn't work out. And then I was on my knees again. And I said, God, tell me what to do. I had all this money, but now what? What is my purpose? And God, I heard clearly, what do you think God told me to do? Go serve. Go serve Cleona. I said, what am I going to serve this time, God? And I heard, give away what you've gotten. And so I didn't expect myself to get emotional on a live call with you today. But I tell you this is why we're here. We are here to serve our gifts and our talents. And when you learn this material and you learn to live from the inside out with peace of mind, nothing and no one will stop you, my friends. Nothing will stop you. I just feel so grateful that this is what we get to do at the Napoleon Hill Institute. I made a decision that I'm going to spend the rest of my life, mark my words, remember my name. I will never give up. I will never give up. No matter what comes in front of me, I will move it out of the way. I made a decision to become a coach and teach these principles for the rest of my life. And you watch me, I will do it. I will do it with the help of God. I will do it. And that's what I want to invite all of you, because you can do it too. You can do it. This is our purpose. We're here to serve. We're here to serve. I became a coach. I signed up with Bob Proctor. And within 3 years, I became the vice president. I became an inner circle coach. And that's how I got to meet Scott Edwards. These principles brought us together. These principles change lives. And so this is how I started in coaching, and I became obsessed. And I will give it away for the rest of my life, just like Bob did, right up to the age of 87. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I've decided I'm going to live until I'm 110. 110, folks. I set a goal. I got a burning desire. You can feel my burning desire because it's from my heart. It's from my heart. I had a no matter what attitude from poverty. I said, I'm going to get a beautiful apartment in New York City. I'm going to get a beautiful home for my children. And I did. I did everything I put my mind to, everything I set a goal with. Because yes, I was obsessed with serving. That's correct, AJ. I was obsessed with serving. I said, God, after Bob, I worked with Bob for several years, and Bob passed in February 2022. And then I said, now what, God? Now what, God? I wanted to work with Bob. I wanted to learn from Bob. And then I got on my knees again. I said, God, tell me what to do. And I heard, go serve. But what I also heard was Napoleon Hill. And as you know, Bob Proctor, who was our late mentor, he carried around the book, Think and Grow Rich. I got in touch with the Napoleon Hill Foundation. I started Googling. I didn't know anybody. I made a phone call. And actually, Don Green, the executive director of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, called me back 2 days later. I left a message. I didn't know who Don Green was. I didn't know anything about the foundation. He called me back and he said, oh, I'm Don Green. I didn't know. I said, listen, I need to talk to a manager or somebody of authority. And he was the executive director and the CEO for over 20 years. And I didn't know who he was. I said, all I know is I need to go serve and I have to do something with Napoleon Hill. And we started talking. We started working together. We did a few little projects together. And here we are. We're running the Institute 1 year later. And we're just getting started, friends. We're just getting started. And so if there's anything that you've learned about my story so far, please understand that every adversity will bring the equal seed of benefit or greater benefit if you have faith and you learn how to live from the inside out, which Scott was doing a fantastic job today teaching you. Know your own mind and live your own life. What is peace of mind, friends? What is peace of mind for you? What is it? It's knowing your own mind and living your own life. Do you understand that you're a soul in a physical body? Do you understand that your soul is here on purpose and you have a purpose uniquely designed for you? Your purpose is to serve your unique gifts and talents. I have studied this stuff now for so many years, and I'm telling you, your job is to figure out what you're great at, what you love to do, and find a way to give it away and serve it. And when you don't do that, this is when you have pain and suffering, and you're stuck, and you're lost, and you don't have peace of mind, friends. And this is what we teach people every day. They start to wake up to their purpose. They start to find a way to give it away. And then you will live with peace of mind. Are you free? Are your thoughts even your own? This is something I want to challenge you with right now. Take a moment. Take a moment. Are your thoughts your own? Let me tell you a little bit about our thoughts. And you're going to meet Dan Matthews this week. Dan Matthews is one of our principal teachers. He's an expert and scientist. He's going to teach you the science behind your thought. There's 4 major sources of thought impulses. Did you know that? Your thoughts may not be your own. Number 1 is infinite intelligence. God. I say God. You can say infinite intelligence. You can say source. Number 2 is your own subconscious mind. Your own subconscious mind. Number 3 is actually the mind of someone else who has released a conscious thought. Did you know? Why do you think you become who you surround yourself with? You're the sum of the 5 people you spend your most time with. You literally can pick up their thoughts. Okay? Number 4 is another person's subconscious mind. These are the 4 sources of where thoughts come from. You need to know this. No one taught us this. And we wonder why we don't have peace of mind in our life. We wonder why we're living from the outside in. So for me, peace of mind is living from the inside out and with freedom from fear. And I'm not perfect at it. There's days I catch myself, but I'm doing my very best 95% plus of the time living from the inside out. Inside out. Just as Scott taught you today, I don't allow what comes through my senses to distract me from my purpose. Otherwise, I've wasted my time here on earth. And I know if you're watching this, you're here for a reason. You don't want to waste your time on earth. You want to live on purpose. You want to live a legacy. How do we live from the inside out? We can develop what's called our 6 higher faculties. And this is how I did it. Everything in my life that I've created and will create is by developing my 6 higher faculties. My imagination. When I got my green card, I didn't sit back and give up and quit. I tapped into my marvelous imagination. I started to think of ideas. I started researching who's the director, and I took action. My intuition. This is when God is talking to us. Infinite intelligence is talking to you. You know, that gut feeling? This is your intuition. And so I started to learn to tap into my imagination and my intuition, looking for answers instead of looking outwards. And then I started to increase my willpower. I do it every day. I wake up, I teach a class at 5:30 every day called the Self-Discipline Camp. 6 days a week. We get together, we study together, we do meditation together, we write out our goals because I'm strengthening my willpower. The reason why people quit is because they have a weak will. They have a weak will. The first sign of adversity, people quit. For the most, over 95% of the population will quit. But when you have discipline, you strengthen your discipline, you strengthen your will, your focus, your concentration, your no matter what attitude gets stronger and stronger, and you will not give up. The will is so important. The will is everything. The will hold your desire. You get a burning desire, you get going. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. If your will is not strong, you will stop, you'll quit. And the next higher faculty that I tap into is my memory. I use my memory and I look back at the past and I look at what I created in the past. If I ever have doubt, if I ever worry, am I going to be able to do this? Is this going to work out? I go back to my memory and I remember all the things, all the wins that I've created in my life, and I focus on that. I don't focus on what I'm afraid of. I hold my will, tap into my memory. I say, I did it before, I'll do it again. And then I have an inner conversation. I direct myself. I'm constantly having an inner conversation, directing myself to keep going. And this is what you have to do, my friends. This is what you have to do. Your reason. I use my reason for accurate thinking. I look at a situation and I use my reason. I say, how do I really want to look at this? What's going on? For accurate thinking. And then I'll make decisions using my reason, my intuition, my imagination, and how I believe that I'm not a victim today, and how I believe I've changed my whole life is because I changed my perception. I now decide how I want to look at my life and my story. Every one of you are walking around with a story, a subconscious story. The results in your life today, financially, relationships, your body, your health, is a reflection of your subconscious story. Okay? Your story is creating your beliefs and your habits and your patterns. And this is what we teach people here at the Institute, how to rewire their subconscious mind to change the old story. I use my perception. There's no victim in me. There's no victim in me. What happened to me happened for me. That's perception. It all happened for me. It prepared me for this. What happened last year prepared me for today. So I use my perception to be a spiritual warrior, I call myself. I'm a spiritual warrior. What do you call yourself? Oh, poor me. Look what happened to me. I got divorced, or this happened. I have no money. Oh, my parents left me when I was a kid. So what? So what? This is the attitude that you must have. And this is how I look at life. We got to keep moving. If we want peace of mind, we have to change our perception of our old story. You're going to write the new story, my friends. You see, Napoleon Hill taught the science of personal achievement. He taught 17 principles of success. We study them every day here at the Napoleon Hill Institute. We have different programs and courses and clients from all over the world. We're obsessed with the principles. The science of personal achievement can literally create miracles in your life. And I want to tell you about a man that I find so fascinating, Manuel Quezon. He was the leader of the independent movement and the first president of the Philippines Commonwealth, which was established under the U.S. he became the first president of the Free Philippine Islands. And did you know that Napoleon Hill was his coach? Did you know that? Napoleon Hill coached him. And he taught Senor Quezon, and shout out to all our Filipinos on here. This is so cool when you learn this. He taught the science of personal achievement to Senor Quezon. He advised him. He told him to set a realistic time for his goal. And he wanted to become the president. He wanted to become the first president of the Free Philippine Islands. And so what he did, he taught him the principles, but he also gave him an affirmation. And Scott taught you a lot today about affirming, right? He taught you today. This is the affirmation he gave, the actual affirmation he gave Senor Quezon. He said, I want you to repeat this. I will allow no person's opinion and no influence to enter my mind that does not harmonize with my purpose. Let that soak in. Okay? 24 years later, studying the principles, doing the work, he became the first president of the Free Philippine Islands, despite a world war going on at the time. This was Napoleon Hill, and there's many more stories like this we'll tell you throughout the week. It's so incredible. So you Filipinos should be very proud right now. And I love our Filipino clients and people that have joined us today. I know some of you. You should be very, very proud. And so to grow with a peace of mind, grow rich with peace of mind, there's a few steps. Number one, the first step to freedom and peace of mind is knowing what you want, how you want to live, and why do you want it? Know what you want, know how you want to live, and why do you want it? And I'm going to tell you at the end what we're going to do. We're going to help you all get moving, okay? You're going to then choose to think your own thoughts. You're going to question your thoughts. You're going to analyze your thoughts that are coming in throughout the day. Is this my thought? Is this from someone else? Is this from an old story? You're going to start analyzing, and you're going to learn how to think your own thoughts. Then you're going to start developing and tapping into your higher faculties to change the story of your past. Okay? And through the 17 principles of success, you will learn to create a success consciousness, which will bring you peace of mind no matter what is going on in your life. I promise you. I promise you. So today, my friends, I'm going to give you an assignment. This has been an incredible opportunity for me to serve, because that's why I'm here. That's why Scott is here. And so I want you all to do the assignment. You're going to write out a powerful vision statement. Okay, if you don't know what you want yet, it's okay. You're going to do this exercise. You're going to write out a powerful vision statement, a day in the life of your new free self with peace of mind, living on purpose, free from fears. 1 year from today, I want you to write out what's going on in your life, what is different. Walk me through a day in the life of your new self 1 year from today. That's number one. Then I want you to write out the affirmation that Napoleon gave to Senor Quezon 50 times, and share it on Facebook. Okay, you can watch the replay. And this is the affirmation. I will allow no person's opinion and no influence to enter my mind that does not harmonize with my purpose and vision. When you learn to live like this, you will have peace of mind, friends. You will have peace of mind. You will have freedom from fear, especially of other people's opinions. I then want you, and you better do it. Don't just come here for entertainment. I know some of you like entertainment, but I'm not here to entertain. I'm here to change lives, and I mean business. And so does Scott, and so does our team. And shout out to our team. We have the best team on the planet at NHI. We have the best coaches on the planet. I'm not bragging. I'm telling the truth. Shout out to every single one of you. I love you. I'm grateful for you. And we are just getting started, friends. We are just getting started. You're going to do this affirmation, okay? No entertainment. You're going to do the work. You're going to repeat the affirmation in the mirror 20 times in the morning and 20 times at night before going to bed. We have 4 days together. You're going to come online with us for the next 4 days. And I want to hear if you did the assignments or what happened. How do you feel? What's changing? I want to hear, okay? You're also going to get a workbook. Have you seen the beautiful workbook that we created? And Antonio and Jane created a beautiful workbook for all of you. Let me see if I can pull it up on the screen. We may have a copy of it so I can show it to you. If I don't, then we're going to share it with you in your email. I want you to post your homework, your assignments in the Facebook group. And tag us, tag the Napoleon Hill Institute so that we can see you did the work. There's no point, just like Scott said, there's no point coming on here and not doing this work, because you literally will be here for entertainment. You're going to feel good. You're going to say, oh, that was so inspiring. That was a nice story that woman told, that Irish woman, or that guy, what was his name, Scott? You'll walk away and that's what's going to happen. But if you do the work, you get committed, I promise you, in 4 days, you're going to see something different. You're going to feel different. You're going to start to think different. So my friends, whoever's watching this, commit to me right now. Commit to yourself right now. You're going to do the work. These assignments were designed for a reason. Okay, here's the beautiful workbook that you're all going to get. We'll put it in the Facebook. We'll put it in the email. You've got the schedule. And so there's this, on page 3, you will see, I want you to write out your vision a year from now. If you don't have Facebook, just do it on the YouTube. I'm not sure exactly where they can put it. You can email it to us, actually. There's a QR code here. Take your phone and take a picture of the QR code. Put it in our WhatsApp group if you don't have Facebook. If you have questions, chat in our WhatsApp group. Our team is there to serve you, okay? So we'll go over the other assignments in the workbook for the rest of the week. Tomorrow is going to be incredible. Thank you for being committed, Linda Roberts. I love you. I'm so grateful. Join us tomorrow. We're going to be teaching the basic mental attitude that brings wealth and peace of mind. And we have incredible speakers tomorrow. We have Carla Elizondo coming on. She's incredible. We have more surprise guests coming on as well tomorrow. I want to thank you for your time. Remember to commit, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Imagine standing on the precipice of a towering mountain, where the world stretches out before you. A vast canvas, awaiting your touch. Now, picture a single whisper, a mere suggestion, as a gust of wind that could either propel you to the summit of your dreams or cast you into the abyss of doubt and uncertainty. This, my friends, is the astonishing power of suggestion. A single idea, a fleeting thought, can ripple through the mind like a stone cast into a still pond, creating waves that shape one's beliefs, decisions, and ultimately their destiny. From the pages of history to the intimate moments of our lives, suggestions are the silent architects of our reality. They can come from the media we consume, the conversations we engage in, or the people we hold closest. These suggestions can be subtle or overt, well-intentioned or manipulative, yet their impact is profound. They can nudge us toward growth or confine us to limitations, crafting the very concept of who we are. But here's the intriguing part. While suggestions may seem like external forces beyond our control, we are both suggestible and the suggester. We possess the ability to choose our thoughts consciously. It's the art of directing our mental narrative, the science of shaping our beliefs, and the gateway to redefining our reality. A wise man once said, "Suggestion is one of the most powerful forces in the universe."